Hi, my name is David Freitag, and this is a screencast description of my final project for EDC 532. So I did a curriculum project where I created a mini unit, and the full title of the mini unit is Finding a Topic and Researching the Conversation. And this mini unit is drawn from and aligns with the National Writing Project's College Ready Writers Project, which is a professional development program that I am currently participating in, along with a couple other people in my department. And one of the goals of the College Ready Writers Project is to have teachers teach a series of mini units on argumentative writing. And so what I did was I took kind of their template for this particular mini unit, and I created all the materials that I would need to teach it to my specific context of students, and I augmented that mini unit with some of the things that I have learned throughout this class. So the goals of that mini unit are to teach students to do a couple of things. Number one, find a topic that they are interested in, particularly a topic that has some sort of controversy or at least multiple perspectives surrounding it. To conduct independent online research and take notes on this research. And this is where most of what I learned in our class comes into play. Next is using your research to construct and support an argument using evidence from the text that you have gathered, and then to finally publish your thoughts in the form of a letter for an authentic audience. So the students are either addressing this letter to a specific person or they're creating an open letter. So beyond just having these skills, the bigger kind of like why are we doing this, this mini unit gives students a process for becoming informed and for sharing their voices. So to do your democratic duty fully, you have to have these skills. So I think that the skills that are within this mini lesson are skills that are important for teaching students how to be informed citizens who play a full participatory role in our democracy. So let's take a look at some of our unit materials. For the final project, I've created a Google Drive shared folder that I have shared on our wiki spaces, and this is the folder. I'll just give you a quick rundown of the different files here. We have like a checklist we'll go through. There's the presentation, Google Slides presentation with our lessons on it. My reflection is in our folder. There's the letter template and then a sample student project. So let's take a look at our presentation first. This is the presentation that I take students through over the course of about 8 days is the current time that I've allocated for this mini unit. I've started teaching this mini unit, but I have not finished teaching it. At this point, we're on day 3 of gathering information. So things have been going pretty well so far, finding a topic and then having students focus their research and getting them started with a note-taking strategy. But basically what I would be doing is I would be taking students through this process over the course of about 8 school days and teaching this lesson in about the first 15 to 20 minutes of class, and then continuing kind of with our regular curriculum in the remaining time. So this is designed to really be a mini unit that only takes a portion of your class time. So we would go through finding a topic, go through focusing research, thinking about open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. For our examples here, I've used questions related to fake news because for the College Ready Writers Project, one of the last assignments that my students engaged in was that I had them looking at a text set of articles about fake news, and so they're already familiar with this topic. And so this is something that they would already know a lot about, and so I can use their background knowledge in that to kind of scaffold their understanding for what they're going to be doing for this project. They have to come up with some research questions, and then we have Padlet is where students will be taking notes. And a specific note-taking format you can see here that I am asking students to do for each of their Padlet slides. Then I'm going to walk them through how to search for information and how to kind of refine their search terms if they're not getting the kind of results they want, and then ways to interpret their search results and read the results they find, read those critically so they can understand the different perspectives in what they're reading. I'm going to show you right here an example Padlet that is completed, which has 3 sources that I found related to fake news and the notes that I took on each of these sources. So you can see here, I get to that by clicking this link in the PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides presentation that you can access if you just go to this folder, which I've linked to on the wiki spaces. And you can see here the different notes that I've taken and how I've kind of organized the notes that I've taken on Padlet. And this research can obviously be shared with other students who might be interested in this topic. So after collecting all that information, taking all those notes, then the next step is to attempt to formulate a claim based on the research that you've created, and to not just create a simple claim, but to create a refined claim, because you should have a complex understanding of your issue at this point, and then to kind of plan out the letter that you're going to write. And so this is, an example structure that students can use for planning out their letter. And then I'm giving them a particular template that's already prepared for them on Google Docs, so that they don't have to go through the process of really having to figure out all the details about how to create headings. A lot of that is done for them, so they can just kind of move real easily into the letter format. Have them generate a first draft with all of their ideas, go back and include and integrate sources, making sure to do something that we've learned called authorizing, which is mentioning the source's credibility, and there are different sentence starters here to help them introduce their evidence from the sources that they've researched and to provide some explanation, to authorize their sources, and then to also connect their sources to the claim. And then the last steps are revising and editing the draft of their letter, where I'll be working with students one-on-one to conference with them, to help them craft their letter, and then hopefully, if they're interested, publish it and send it to the person that they've written it to, or at least construct their open letter. So that's the lessons I'll be taking them through. After they finish their letter, I also have a checklist that I've created for students to kind of make sure they have completed all of the required elements. And I've created here a sample student letter that I wrote about fake news as a model for students, so they can see kind of the structure and format of the letter, as well as how I've authorized some of my sources, and how I've integrated quotations, how I've connected my sources to my claim. So that's the list of materials and resources that students are going to have for this project. So just to wrap up our screencast for today, based on, I haven't finished teaching this mini unit yet, but based on what I've learned so far and what I've learned from doing, I've done each of these activities to certain degrees in isolated ways, but I've never combined them into a cohesive unit like this. And some of the things that I have learned so far, and some of the things that I'm maybe predicting I'm going to run into, and some of the things I've learned from teaching these activities in an isolated way is, number one, choice is a huge motivating factor for students. So when I told the students, I said, hey, we're going to do a new mini unit for writing into the day, and all their faces sank and they groaned, and then I said, but this one you get to pick what you want to read and write about. And they were all excited and their faces lit up, and they told me that they were happy about that. Next is something that I've noticed is that students are really great at certain skills we've been practicing for years with our curriculum. But students obviously need more explicit instruction and tutoring in new skills. One of those might be authorizing. Obviously, this is kind of a no-brainer, right? Kids are good at what they've spent a lot of time doing, but it's important to figure out which skills they already know, so that you can focus your time appropriately. Time is always something we don't have enough of, and so in planning my instruction, I'm trying to get the most bang for my buck by really only spending significant periods of time on the skills that students don't really quite know how to do yet. Something else I've noticed is writing for an authentic audience is also a motivating factor. Kids really like giving people they disagree with a piece of their mind. So, but in addition to this, though, many kids are still terrified to share their writing with the real world. One of their first questions when I introduced this project was, oh, do we have to share our writing? But I think that having a potential audience at least gives students someone to address and direction to their writing, so it's not just the kind of amorphous essay written for me. And here are some of the things that I am predicting will probably require some more time and attention in the instruction, and this is what I'm planning to do, is to spend a significant amount of time on conducting searches and selecting appropriate sources, spend a significant amount of time identifying and summarizing source perspectives, which I've noticed students have a lot of trouble with, and then writing a refined claim so that students are coming up with a complex claim statement, and instead of just saying, well, fake news is bad. So that's pretty much it for my screencast today. So this is all I've got for this mini unit for my students. Again, you can access all of these materials through the final EDC 532 project folder on Wikispaces.